The trauma I experienced is something I will wear as a badge of honor for the rest of my life because I'm a survivor. It was the most typical kind of day. I had a soccer tournament. I was the top keeper on the team. My dad and I just went to see Avengers Endgame. It had just come out.
It was just past dusk. We were just driving one moment.
And then the rest of my life completely changed.
The oncoming car hit a deer, sent the deer through our windshield. Just hit the glass and went straight through. As it brushed by my face, it caught her on the side of her face, and it spun her head around so hard that it created what is referred to as a shearing injury. As this was explained to me, if you took a bowl of Jell-O and spun it so hard that you would see it tear, that's what happened to her brain. So when I turned, she wasn't breathing. And I started yelling, and I started shaking her, and just nothing. And now I'm just never been so scared in my life. She was airlifted in about 22 minutes, and I think she was here in about 30 minutes. I came by ambulance. I knew she was in the ER being worked on. They had to treat me in the emergency room here before I could see her, and it was just my hand, but it was pretty bad. We got her through ER and up to the ICU, and we were just waiting. And then I saw her. Her face was just destroyed. There was just so much glass, and so much swelling. We thought she was going to lose an eye. She broke her nose, bruised lungs. The first 3 days, she was almost completely non-responsive. One of the biggest problems was that they needed to get the breathing tube out, but she wasn't ready to breathe on her own. They're clapping next to her ears, doing all the normal protocol stuff to just sort of snap her into it. But the main thing was just getting her to respond, and she just wasn't. We had nurses round the clock that were just incredible. They treated her like she was their own. And I think it was probably the third night, and they just weren't getting anything out of her. Had Andrea not come around the next morning, I don't know what the next step was going to be, because that breathing tube had to come out. They took it out once and she crashed. The overnight nurse just said, I think she needs something a little different. That nurse just sat with her all night. She washed her hair. She just talked to her. At morning rounds, everybody's back in there, and this nurse said, Andrea, squeeze my hand, and she did. And that was arguably a turning point in the whole process. Didn't have anything to do with a machine or a drug or anything. It was just a nurse who really cared.
It was the beginning of my summer after sophomore year of high school. I had nothing but high hopes and aspirations for my summer.
It was tremendously difficult for her cognitively, it was tremendously difficult for her emotionally, and it was tremendously difficult for her physically.
Every single day was just so frustrating. I've been doing these simple daily tasks for 16 years, and now it's like I can't. I had to think about everything.
One of the days that was the hardest for me was when we were told that the brain damage, some of it may be permanent, and we need to prepare for that.
I remember being in a wheelchair. That was really hard, to be a 16-year-old healthy athlete, and now I can't walk. It's literally because my brain and my body aren't cooperating together. They told me pretty early on that it would be no sports for a year.
And the message between the lines was probably no sports ever.
And that was just crushing to me.
No one was going to give us a guarantee that her brain was going to ever be the same again. I spent a lot of time worrying about what does that mean for her finishing high school? What does that mean for college? About a week and a half in, she still couldn't see out of the bad eye at all. And she says, hey, Dad, I can see. And all of a sudden, the therapy started ramping up. And then, you know, there was just every day there was more reason for hope.
To be able to walk on that field again, that was one of the most liberating things, to just know where I was in this hospital, and then I'm back on the field playing just like I was. I ended up being able to ski again, too. I made it to state senior year. It really was a happy ending. I made the dean's list at the University of Minnesota this past semester. That's where I'm at cognitively. I got it back, and I would like to thank North Memorial for that, because I would not be here right now without North Memorial. Recovering from June 22nd of 2019. That's the hardest thing I've done to this day. It inspires me to be the best version of myself, because I know that that girl in the hospital would be so proud of me today.